In the last 3 weeks, I've spoken to 6 investors with property portfolios worth over $10 million each, and all of them are looking to allocate their money into the Melbourne market in 2025. Now, I recently sat down and analysed over 523 suburbs in the Melbourne property market, basically every suburb within 60 k's of the CBD. And what I found is 5 suburbs that look absolutely incredible over the next 10 to 15 years. Now, the first suburb and the cheapest suburb that I wanted to discuss in this video today is 37 k's on the northwestern side of Melbourne and is a suburb called Kurunjang. Now, this suburb has done less than 1% growth in the last 12 months and has a rental vacancy rate below 1%, which means it's chronically undersupplied from a rental perspective right now. Now, the average property, according to CoreLogic in this suburb, sells for $520,000 at the time of recording this video, and the average rent return is $420 a week. What's surprising to me is normally when you find a suburb this far from the city that's this cheap, there's a very high number of renters, but in this instance, only 24% of the people living in the suburb are renters, which means 76% of the people living in this suburb are mums and dads like you and I looking to set themselves and their families up for the future. Now, the first property I wanted to show you that just sold in March of 2025 for $450,000 is number 15 Dunvegan Drive, Kurunjang. Now, that is an absolute mouthful, but look at this place. Now, this 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 4-car garage home on 600 square meters sold for just $450K. Now, as you can see from the photos looking at the front of the property, it could do with a little bit of weed and feed and a bit of a garden tidy up and maybe a bit of a straighter fence. But outside of that, it's an extremely low maintenance brick tile slab on ground home. Now, looking through the property, it's in okay nick, but if you were to give it a bit of a repaint, replace that flooring with some nice timber look vinyl flooring and maybe replace those blinds, it would look exponentially better and obviously rent much better as well. What I love about the property and the suburb is it's got multiple schools and kindergartens in the area, as well as local shopping centres and train stations nearby. Now, the second property that I wanted to show you in Kurunjang is a beautiful double-storey brick tile, much more modern home that just sold for $495K. Now, this property, which is number 24 Linda Place, Kurunjang, is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1-car garage home on a smaller block, just 226 square meters. But come take a look at these photos. This property is absolutely phenomenal, and I can't even believe that they could build this home for under $450,000, which means you're almost getting the land for free in the Melbourne market right now. Now, looking through, it's been beautifully presented, great flooring, beautiful paint job, modern bathroom, modern kitchen, and plenty of space for tenants to live and enjoy their lifestyle in this suburb. As you can see, there's a nice big lounge room, entertaining, living kitchen al fresco downstairs, but there's also the kids' secondary area once you get up the stairs, which would be great for a TV, a sofa, and all of those kids related activities upstairs. Now, the second suburb I wanted to talk about today is suburb 31 kilometers from Melbourne on the southwestern side of the city. Now, this second suburb is Wyndham Vale, and it is grown by literally 0.09% in the last 12 months, which is insane when you look at the likes of Perth, Brisbane, or Adelaide that over the same period of time grew by between 10 and 20%. Now, again, what I like about this suburb is it's dirt cheap. The average property is selling for just $572,000 with an average weekly rent of $470 a week. On top of this, properties sit on the market for a pretty decent amount of time, taking an average of 59 days to sell. And again, over 69% of the people living in this suburb are owner-occupiers like you and me, with 30% of them owning their properties outright and the others working towards that in the future. Now, the property I wanted to show you today in this area is a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-car garage property, brick tile slab on ground on 499 meters squared. Now, as you can see, this beautiful home just sold for $605,000 in March 2025, which is number 66 Pascolo Way, Wyndham Vale, another absolute mouthful. Now, as you can see through the photos here, the property is in phenomenal condition and has been extremely well kept by the current owner. Not only is this property completely tenant ready, but it is move in, set and forget, and extremely low maintenance, which particularly for interstate investors is super important if you can't get access to the property to tidy up those little things yourselves. This place, like so many of the properties in this suburb, is beautiful, open plan, nice and big with a beautiful modern kitchen, open living and al fresco area. What I like about this property is it has multiple zones, so it's got room for the dining table, the lounge room, as well as a separate sit down lounge, all facing the kitchen so that the families that are enjoying or renting this property can live together. On top of this, the bathrooms are in great condition. The bedrooms, especially the master, is a beautiful size, and this property has absolutely nothing that an owner needs to do after they pick up the property except wait for the Victorian market to go through its cycle. Now, the third suburb I wanted to talk about is just 20 k's from the city and is on the northern side of Melbourne, called Roxburgh Park. Now, this suburb's gone up by about 5.89% in the last 12 months and has a vacancy rate of less than half of 1% right now, meaning it is chronically undersupplied from a rental perspective. On top of this, the average incomes in the area are over $1,600 a week, or $80,000 per household, which means that rents and prices have the potential to go up over time. Now, the average home in this area sells for about 650k and rents for about $530 per week. Now, the property I wanted to show you in this suburb is a little bit different. Number 13, Solander Court, Roxbury Park. Now, the reason I'm showing you it is it's a little bit nicer than the average and a little bit quirkier than the average, to show you that properties are selling in these suburbs for well more than the median. In fact, this home, which is a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1-car garage home, just sold for 750k in March 2025. Now, looking through the property, you can see it's been exceptionally prepared for resale, been completely renovated with beautiful flooring, a beautiful paint job, more expensive curtains throughout, and a really quirky kitchen. Now, like many of these properties, this one is again oversized with a beautiful big kitchen, living, dining space for people and your tenants to enjoy. You know, what I like about a property like this is it's a little bit unique and different. So you can see in the kitchen, they've spent a lot more money on the oven and the cooktop. There's beautiful custom cabinetry, and they've sort of given it a little bit of love and a bit of effort, and that is why it's selling a little bit higher than the average house price in this suburb. Now, looking through the bedrooms and the bathrooms in this property, again, they're being completely renovated with super custom cabinetry and finishes, which I believe is going to add massive value to a tenant and find someone who's willing to pay a little bit more for the quirkiness and the custom finishes of a home like this. On top of this, it's got a beautiful breakout alfresco or backyard area, which has been extremely well maintained. Could probably do with a tiny bit of a garden tidy up and a little bit of remulching, but you can see that would be a beautiful area with bar heaters in winter all throughout the year for people to enjoy, and it's completely under roof as well. I also really like the appeal and the sort of older style heritage look of this type of property. The simple steel roof or tin roof with the beautiful brick facade, and it has a little bit more character, and that's one of my favorite things about buying, for example, the Melbourne market versus the Brisbane market at this point in time. Now, the next suburb, or the fourth suburb that I wanted to look at today, is a suburb called Epping, just 19 k's from the CBD on the north side of Melbourne. Now, again, this suburb has done nothing less than 1% growth in the last 12 months and has a vacancy rate well below 1%. I think you're starting to sense the pattern at the moment that vacancy rates have come down in Melbourne, that prices are dirt cheap, and there is incredible quality if you know where to find it. Now, the average property in this suburb is selling for just $678,000 with an average weekly rent return of just $540 a week. On top of this, it's a really large suburb with over 380 sales in the last 12 months and only 29% of the people living there renting. Now, the first property that I wanted to show you today is a little bit different, and it's for those of you that want to be close to the city with a really high quality product but don't have a 650 to 750k budget. Now, this beautifully presented home, as you can see in the photos, number 9 Chatham Street in Epping, was a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1-car garage home that sold on 168 square meters of land for just 466k in March 2025. Now, you can see this property from the street just looks so cute with a beautiful little garden and great street appeal. All you'd need to do if it was mine would be a bit of a high pressure wash on the outside of the property, as well as those exposed concrete surfaces leading you into the home. As you can see, it's extremely well maintained with absolutely nothing you need to do, and a beautiful brand new kitchen, a new paint job throughout, and extremely low maintenance flooring. What I like about a little property like this is it's got good sized bedrooms and a really nice bathroom, which for a lot of tenants with that little alfresco area sitting out the back has potential to get great rent returns. Something like this should do at least $400 per week in this suburb. I think one of the biggest holes in the Melbourne market at the moment in comparison to the likes of Sydney and Brisbane is just the variety in the product and the affordability in suburbs closer to the CBD, particularly in the north, the west and the southwest of Melbourne at the moment. Now, for those of you who have a slightly larger budget, there's obviously beautiful properties in this suburb at the moment. Now, if we look at number 138 Epping Road, Epping, this incredible 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 2-car garage home on a beautiful big block of land just sold for 900k. Now, what's unique to me about properties like this is you couldn't buy the land and replace it for less than $1.2 million in the current market. So when you look at the physical size and the quality of this home, as we go through the photos, it's extremely unique and really just unique to Melbourne at the moment. You can't do this in Perth or Adelaide or Sydney or Brisbane at this stage of the cycle, this close to the CBD for this level of quality. Now, clicking through the photos, it's been beautifully looked after, this property, with custom flooring, custom cabinetry, and beautiful custom blinds and window finishes. What I like most about this property is the sheer size and how much variety it gives you as an investor to increase the rent return as incomes in Melbourne grow over time. It's got a massive master suite, beautiful walk-in robe, as well as a beautiful secondary bathroom. Looking through the photos, it's been repainted with new fans as well as new window finishings throughout the property for sale. Again, like so many of the properties in this area, it's extremely low maintenance, and they've actually filled in the garage in this particular instance, so it's a second media retreat or room for the kids, or potentially even a home office. Now, this particular style of property in this condition, this close to the city, in either northern Sydney or northern Brisbane, would be selling for significantly more than this price point right now. In fact, the same sort of thing in the Hills District or somewhere like Homebush or Kellyville in Sydney would be selling for well into the $1.6 to $1.8 million mark today. Now, the fifth and final suburb that I wanted to walk you through in this video today is a suburb 8 k's from the city of Melbourne on the northern side called Coburg. Again, like all of these suburbs close to the city, the vacancy rates have fallen through the floor as over 160,000 people have been moving into Melbourne without many of us in Australia knowing over the last few years. Now, the average property in this area of Melbourne sells for just over $1 million with an average weekly rent of $600 a week. One of the things I like most about this suburb, outside of the variety of the product and its proximity to the CBD, is the fact that the average household incomes are sitting at well over $100,000 per household per year. Now, the first property I wanted to show you actually sold for $1.7 million and is number 5 Ryan Street in Coburg. Now, this beautiful 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-car garage home on a 435 square metre piece of land is an example of where the market closer to the city of Melbourne is heading. And I promise you, I'll show you another example of this suburb where you don't have to spend $1.7 million in a moment. Now, this place has been so tastefully renovated. You can see the beautiful French lay flooring with the complete custom cabinetry and custom windows that have been added to this property. This is the sort of place that I could see people earning $200k to $1 million a year absolutely loving and living in, with its proximity to the city, but its custom finishes and fixtures. To me, this property looks like more something you'd find on the Sunshine Coast or on the Gold Coast or the Mornington Peninsula of Australia versus the Melbourne CBD, which is why I love it so much. Outside, you can see the beautiful indoor outside style for the warmer months of the year, as well as the custom barbecue and kitchen area, as well as drinks area on the alfresco. Looking through the property, the master bedroom is oversized with a beautiful walk-in robe and ensuite, as you can see through the photos. Everything has been done to the highest level with custom cabinetry, finishes and fixtures all the way throughout the property. You know, while I personally probably wouldn't go out there and spend $1.7 million on a property like this, although I completely see the value because there is absolute quality all the way through this suburb and with this particular property, it's nice to see whether people living in Melbourne that love homes like this to raise their children in, or the young professionals moving into areas like this are taking properties in the suburb. And as the Melbourne market matures and confidence comes back over the next 4 or 5 years into this market, we're going to see quality properties like this spread all the way out through the suburbs of the city. Now, for those of you out there that want to be that close to the city, just 8 k's to the CBD, but don't have a $1.7 million budget, then this second property, number 2C Campbell Street in Coburg, is a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1-car garage townhouse and recently sold for 800K. Now, one of the things I love about this property looking through is that sort of, not New York style, I'm not going to say that because I know you guys are going to hate me for that in the comments, but that beautiful loft overlooking the living space just above the kitchen in this property. I also love the fact that it's got its own little rooftop terrace, which would be absolutely beautiful for people, whether it's their families or for younger people, all mature couples just enjoying the warmer months of the year and making that their own with that existing beautiful old school stonework. As you can see, the kitchen's in good nick, the flooring's in good nick. If it was my property, I'd probably repaint those yellow style walls a little bit whiter and make it a little bit fresher personally. Something like this is extremely tenant ready, low maintenance, and would rent for between $500 and $600 a week every single day of the week in the current market. Now, whether you're looking at the Melbourne market with a $350 to $450K budget, or you've got right up there into the millions of dollars, what I've learned about the Melbourne market from studying it every single day for the last 9 months is there is incredible opportunities that do not exist in any other capital city in Australia right now. With the gap between prices in Sydney versus Melbourne being at a historical 30-year low. In fact, over the last 30 years, the average difference between prices in Sydney and Melbourne is generally about 29%, but right now it's sitting at about 60% according to CoreLogic, and in the outer ring suburbs, as much as 85% cheaper than Sydney right now. On top of this, vacancy rates have been coming down, and over 150,000 people have been moving into Melbourne, with the Australian Bureau of Statistics expecting over 160,000 people to move into Melbourne per year for the next 5 years. With incomes on the rise in this area, population growing, and most people writing off the Melbourne market at the moment, it represents a once in literally a 20-year buying opportunity. And that's why the team and I here at Pumped on Property are super excited to not just help the small number of clients that we work with each week get into that market, but we're also moving our own money into that market at the moment. I think the next 5 to 15 years are going to be extremely special for Melbourne, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. G'day guys, my name's Ben and I'm the director here at Pumped on Property, and I just want to say a massive thank you for watching our content today. Now, if you're thinking about buying an investment property in the next 3 to 12 months, then the team and I would love to offer you a one-on-one strategy session. In that session, we can talk about exactly where you are right now, where you'd like to be longer term, and we can deeply educate you on the Australian market. And then you can take that information and go and absolutely smash it on your own, or potentially become one of the small number of clients that we work with each week. To book your session, all you have to do is go to www.pumpedonproperty.com and click that book your free strategy session button. But either way, we wish you all the best on your journey as an investor to financial freedom.